Hi guys, this is Igor with Pathway Home Loans, and today I'll be talking to you about the home buying process from the time that your offer is accepted to the time that you're actually going to go to the closing table. Now, one thing to keep in mind is there's a lot of parties that will be working on your transactions, so it's really important to keep calm. Feel free to just coordinate whatever it is that you need to coordinate, and just keep in mind that there's a lot of moving parts. Hopefully by watching this video, it'll make the process be a little bit more transparent for you, so you know kind of what to expect, and then also you can plan accordingly. So once the contract first comes in, it's really important to forward it over and so that all the parties can start working on it as soon as possible. So that means sending it over to your loan officer and then also the title company as well, where you're going to be sending your initial escrow deposit, or your deposit to show that you're really serious and that you're putting some money on the line to show that you are. Once we receive the contract, the very first thing that we do is we evaluate the existing documentation that we have on file, making sure that everything still qualifies and nothing's changed, especially if you've gone outside the parameters that you've been pre-approved for, and that also nothing has expired. So we may ask you at that time to provide maybe some additional pay stubs, maybe a couple of missing items that maybe our file needs, and also updated bank statements if the bank statements that you have provided are also a little bit dated at this point. Once we have all of the initial documents, at that point we'll proceed to lock your loan. And what that means is we're going to basically fix the rate as of the time that we're going to be locking it, in order to protect you from any kind of market fluctuations. Rates going up, for example, from the time that you sign the contract to the time that you're actually going to close, because nobody likes surprises, and we want to make sure that there are none in your process, especially with one of the biggest assets that you're going to be purchasing in your life. Once the rate is locked, you're going to receive disclosures, and basically disclosure is going to be a big packet that will go over a lot of government mandated items such as, hey, we don't discriminate, here's our privacy policy, here's your right to receive a copy of the appraisal. Nobody put a knife to your throat and said you have to use a specific person in this transaction, or an insurance agent, or whatever it is. And the most important document out of that whole entire package is going to be your loan estimate. So your loan estimate is a government mandated form, and it's standardized, that will basically outline the terms of your mortgage, plus all of your closing costs as well. So number one, you know exactly what you're getting, you know whether your rate is locked, and you know what it's going to cost you on a monthly basis, and also at the closing table. It's really important that we go over everything that you're seeing on that loan estimate, especially in case you have any questions, because it's important that you understand all of it. It's important to know where your money goes, and it's also important to know what will change during the process, because it's just an initial estimate, and some things will adjust by the time you go to a closing table. Once those disclosures are signed, we're going to move on to the next stage, which is submitting the file into underwriting. And so what that means is it's going to get submitted along with all the documentation to an actual underwriter that will review to make sure that everything matches. If the application says that you're making $10,000 a month, that the supporting documentation matches exactly that. Same thing with your bank statements. If you said, hey, look, I've got $20,000 in the bank in Chase or wherever it may be, that's exactly what's in the documentation. While that's happening, and it could be a bit of a process, we're also going to order the appraisal. Now, you don't always need an appraisal, but when it's ordered, basically what will happen is an appraiser, a licensed and insured individual, will reach out to the listing agent. They'll typically go out to the property. They will take photos of the place that you're buying, and they'll also measure everything. They'll compare the public records, and they'll do a very lengthy report that will basically establish a market value. And what we're looking for is we're just verifying that whatever you've agreed to pay for this place is exactly what the market says that the place is worth. Once the file goes into underwriting, again, it takes a little bit. Hopefully by the time it comes back, your appraisal will be back as well. Also the title will be back, and maybe you've already obtained insurance as well. Once the file comes out of underwriting, we'll receive a conditional loan approval. And so basically what that is it's a commitment from the bank to lend you money as long as these certain conditions are met. And so the conditions could be anything and everything. Hopefully, again, the file was ideally as complete as possible initially, so hopefully it should be a clean, easy approval. But it could be things like maybe updating some documents if something has, again, expired. Maybe some letters of explanation for certain things that maybe the underwriter might have some additional questions on, such as maybe some inquiries in your credit report, or some fluctuations in income, or an explanation for your motivation to purchase. It could be a slew of different things. And so you'll have a roadmap of exactly what you need to do in order to get to a closing table, and then typically the processor, the loan officer, will send it over to you, and we'll go over it with you to make sure that you don't have any questions. And so it's really important that you work on getting those items in as quickly as possible, so this way it can get submitted back into underwriting also as quickly as possible, so that way we're not waiting until the very last minute. Now, once we have everything, it'll go back to the underwriter generally at one time. Underwriter will review that nothing's changed, and that all the additional documentation provided just further supports whatever was in the file previously. And then at that point issue a final approval, or as we like to call it, a clear to close. And this is really exciting, really happy time, because it means that, look, everything has already been reviewed. There's not going to be any more questions. There's not going to be any more, this, that, and the other. And you can actually go to a closing table and you can go get your keys. So at that point, typically we'll reach out to all the parties. We'll go ahead and schedule the time and the place for the closing to make sure that everybody's on the same page, especially if we're a little bit ahead of schedule and if we're able to close a little bit early. And then it'll be up to you to schedule a final walkthrough with your real estate agent to make sure that the property is in the same exact condition as you saw it last, when you did your inspections or when you were submitting the offer, that nothing's changed, that if somebody was moving out, they didn't damage the walls, the property doesn't magically burn down or anything bad happened. And this way, when you go to a closing table, you have some assurance that when you get your keys, you're going to be getting exactly the home that you're hoping for. Now, also prior to closing, we'll go over all the final figures and exactly how much money you'll need in order to bring with you to the closing table. Then typically at that point, you'll go to the bank, you'll send a wire transfer to the title company for whatever's left over. And that way, when you go to the closing and you sign all of your documents, you walk out with keys in hand, and at that point, you're a homeowner. So again, hopefully this video brought a little bit of clarity. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to myself or my team at any time. One easy way to get on my calendar is just you can go to www.meetwithigor.com and you can schedule a call or a Zoom conference with me at any time. It's really easy. If you want to call me, you can call me at 954-613-1367. You can also email me at any time to igor@pathwayhl.com. Thank you guys, and I look forward to working with you.